Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar. We'll then run through the UK Met Office run, have a look at the precipitation and temperature over the next 5 days. So we do have some very heavy rain for some in the north and west. We can also see some very warm, if not hot, conditions for some in the south and the east over the course of this weekend. So quite a big split throughout the country. We'll then have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the Ensembles. We'll look at the longer range, as we do have warmer air masses coming in at the moment, slightly cooler next week, and it can turn warmer, if not hotter, once again for the end of the month and start of August. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if we do look at the live radar, I'm recording this a few hours earlier than normal, so we are late morning now, but you can see some heavier precipitation is pushing into the west. There's going to be repeated bouts of heavy, significant precipitation. Some areas in the north and west are going to get quite a soaking, so we're going to make up quite a big chunk of that rainfall deficit we do have at the moment. Again, it's quite patchy, there's nothing massively prolonged, but it is moving through heavy precipitation within that, moving through quite quickly, and the centre of the low will move up in a minute. Again, doesn't look too dramatic at the moment, but once we have a look at the UKV, we'll be able to see how there is some very heavy rain waiting in the wings just out in the North Atlantic. But it is looking much drier for most eastern, central and southern areas of the British Isles at the moment, so nothing too bad for many. However, if you are towards the north and the northeast, precipitation will be moving in this afternoon and evening, but still in the south and the far south, east into East Anglia, could remain dry for most of this weekend, which some would enjoy, but others are disappointed we're not getting the significant rainfall that we do need in some places. Now look at the temperatures, it is getting towards late morning now, so the temperature is not going to be massively high, but you can see mostly oranges, but you can see some dark oranges just towards the east where we have slightly warmer air masses wafting up from the south, and here we could see mid-20s this afternoon, so it could be quite decent indeed. Elsewhere, temperatures across Europe are not too bad, but you can see where the cooler Atlantic air masses, the very hot air that was engulfing the UK through earlier this week, is now swept across Eastern Europe, sort of spread out. You see darker reds. That's generally where it is, but it has disintegrated. And you can see across France, Germany, northern parts of Spain, a cooler Atlantic air mass is starting to influence us, making things much more towards average. So if we do have a look at the UKV, look at the precipitation and temperature over the next 5 days, you can see the precipitation moving in, and as I'm recording this, not too much significant precipitation, but it really does pick up over the coming hours. You can see another bout of significant rain pushing in through this evening. So you've got any plans around 9-10 PM this evening, could be some severe heavy torrential rain moving in from the west. Does look like it's moving through quite quickly, but could be sort of complete washout conditions there for a time, before eventually the precipitation does slowly progress through. So you can see into Sunday morning and Sunday afternoon, still heavier precipitation moving in, lots of heavy thundery showers potentially there, but still the far south and east holding off, not looking too bad there at all, very interestingly. And as we head through Sunday evening into Monday, you can see precipitation does spread further southwards and eastwards in showery sort of nature. Could be some heavy thundery showers across southern Scotland, northern England, and generally will go slightly more unsettled all areas into a cooler, fresher air mass by middle of next week. And by Wednesday, it is showery but cool and dry for quite a few. So it is turning cooler next week. Temperatures back towards average, maybe slightly below average, but it is going to be drier for all. Still a few showers around though. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see this afternoon those temperatures are peaking around the mid to high 20s potentially across East Anglia and South East England, 25 to 27 degrees there, widely low 20s though, back towards average. If we have a look at Sunday, we can see those temperatures really spike through Sunday afternoon, 29 to 30 degrees across East Anglia, maybe 31 towards Norwich, so very hot there, heatwave conditions, but elsewhere it is cooler back towards sort of low to mid 20s, so slightly above average for quite a few, but really only intensely hot in the far east, and that's just because we have that slightly hotter air mass mixing in with drier, sunnier conditions, where elsewhere there's showers around. As we move through to Monday afternoon, you can see those temperatures are cooler, back towards the low to mid 20s, maybe 22 to 24 degrees quite widely, and by Tuesday afternoon, again, peaking around the low to mid 20s, maybe 22, 24 degrees, but this is generally quite average conditions for most of the British Isles. And through into Wednesday afternoon, again, temperatures in and around average. So it's turning warmer for some this weekend, especially tomorrow could be seeing 30 degrees return for some, but it does turn much cooler, back towards average conditions for all this coming working week. So if we do now run onto the GFS run, see what's happening in the longer term, you can see at the moment we do have low pressure running in off the Atlantic. It does make progress through, and that's bringing us precipitation. Before Monday time, we see that northerly flow come in. That's that cooler air mass, showery air mass, but high pressure does eventually topple in within the cooler air mass. So for Tuesday and Wednesday, turning much drier, in fact. Beyond that, we do see high pressure generally controlled, low pressure trying to run in off the Atlantic. Because we have high pressure to our south, low pressure pushing in from the Atlantic, it can drop some very warm air, and that's what we're seeing on some runs. On the GFS run, though, that low pressure centre is further southwards, so cooler, more unsettled air masses are mixing in more than the warmer, drier air masses from the south, and you can see it goes quite unsettled there with the wind orientation generally from a westerly direction instead of a southwesterly direction that we're seeing on some runs. So this would be more around average conditions. It would be quite showery with a lot of heavy bouts of rain for some as well. Weather fronts moving in, so it would be quite good for making up a bit of that rainfall deficit, trying to build, trying to actually get some areas with some proper rain over the next couple of weeks. But it is only one scenario at this stage. So if you have a look at the GM, see how that does compare to day 10. Again, low pressure running in off the Atlantic at the moment. High pressure toppling in within that air mass, turning cooler but drier. And you can see low pressure running off the Atlantic. It's tracked slightly further northwards, but it does veer southwards at times. And why we're very interested in its track, you look at the 850 HPA temperatures, warm air is just to our south, cooler Atlantic air is just to our north. Again, doesn't look like a massive temperature difference, but the direction of the air decides whether it's quite moist, Atlantic influence, or warm, dry from the south. And if we saw a bit of a southerly flow, we would see temperatures rise into high 20s, low 30s, more Atlantic flow, high teens, low 20s. So it can make quite a big difference, just that wind direction, really. And again, if this low pressure shifts slightly further northwards, all this warm air encapsulated in the Azores high would be stretching our way. And we are seeing that from quite a few runs and ensemble members. If we do have a look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, low pressure running in off the Atlantic at the moment, turning things cooler and slightly more unsettled for all. High pressure toppling in, and it turns not too bad. Again, those centre of the lows are much further northwards on this ECMWF run. So you see the Azores high extends in for the end of July and early August. You see the 10-degree isotherm engulfs the UK. 15-degree isotherm gets close, and that would very likely give temperatures in and around that high 20s, low 30-degree range. So heat wave conditions, but nothing too substantial. I must make that clear. It's nothing crazy, but still would be very warm and very dry, especially in the south. So it wouldn't be too great if you are looking for that rainfall in your area. So yeah, it's very difficult to get best of both worlds at the moment. Ideally what we'd get is warm, dry days, pleasant conditions, and heavy rain overnight. That's sort of the ideal situation where everyone wakes up to a nice soaking quarter-of-an-inch rain overnight, but it doesn't affect anyone's day. That's what kind of the optimum scenario would be. But unfortunately, it's very difficult to get that. And at the moment, it does look like we're either going to be going very unsettled, Atlantic influence, or very dry and warm, especially in the south, where we need the rain the most, really. So, if we do have a look at the latest from the ensembles, you can see this well reflected at the moment. You can see again, we do have a warm air mass coming in over the next day or so. That's very warm upper air conditions. That's why we're seeing those temperatures peak tomorrow, dropping below average for a few days towards the middle of next week, and then returning to around or above average throughout the end of July, early August. Again, a bit of uncertainty with that. Some of these warmer runs, getting towards 15 degrees at 850 HPA would be very warm, heat wave conditions potentially there. Others more around average would generally be low to mid-20s. And again, there is precipitation spikes, but nothing too frequent and nothing too significant at this stage, unfortunately. So if you are in the south, it's not looking hugely encouraging to see some precipitation. I'm sure we will see some, but any massive soakings that would destroy some of that deficit we have with rainfall at the moment. It does look unlikely we're seeing anything like that at this stage. If you look at the 2 meter temperatures, you can see this well reflected, warmer the next day or two, turning much cooler towards the middle of next week, and then peaking again towards the end of July, early August, and then there's uncertainty, massive range in surface conditions. If we also have a look at the ECMWF Ensembles, see how that does compare. Again, very warm over the next day or two, turning much cooler through the end of July, and then turning above average for the end of July, to much cooler for the next few days next week, and then turning much warmer for the last day or two of July, and then continuing into the early parts of August. Quite a few degrees above average, quite a few runs getting towards that 15 degrees at 850 HPA, which would, as I said, give temperatures around the high 20s, low 30s, so it would be very warm indeed. So it does look like we could be having quite a warm spell coming up towards the end of the month and start of August, but at this stage it's still a little bit up in the air, and I think we're going to get a bit of best of both worlds over the next sort of few days. It's going to be heavy rain around, perhaps not in the places we need it, but still regardless, heavy rain will be around. There will also be warm, dry conditions as well, so we're going to see a big mix of all sort of summery conditions over the next few days. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Make sure to check out the live radar because it's going to be very important predicting where those rain bands are coming, and of course can make drastic changes in the conditions where you are. So do keep up to date with that. And there is potential for some weather warnings come in force. Maybe if we do see some of this rain really pop up, and we do see it turn a little bit more thundery. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.